So what do you think, Big D? They're not bad, are they?
No, the Deep Creek Road. Yeah, I like the sound of them.
Mm-hmm.
There you go. You always hear the best music right here on Tracy and the Big D, Sunshine FM, every Wednesday night. And it's nearly 10 o'clock, so we've got to get out of here.
Oh, well, we've got a couple of things because we're coming up to our number one. But next week, I mean, this week's been huge, but next week it's a little bit bigger. We've got to squeeze a few more in. Next week, we've got Scott Douglas, Susan Lilly, Casey Chambers will be joining us next week, Courtney Conway, Willie Nelson, a.k.a. Bruce, or should we say Bruce, a.k.a. Willie Nelson from the Four Highwaymen, and also our American folk Southern Experience Band. They're going to be joining us next week as well. Huge week.
Well, I don't normally do it. I don't normally preempt the number one song for the week, but I'm going to do it this week. I'm going to do it. Pleased to say that joining us on the line is the fabulous Aussie himself, Doug Bruce, and his new single, A Broke Down Heart, is number one this week. Congratulations, Doug.
Woohoo! Thanks, guys.
That's great news, and I've got to say, last night we're getting ready. I think it was last night anyway.
It was last night.
We're flicking through CMC, and there, sure enough, is Doug Bruce with "Broke Down Heart." And I've got to say, it's the first chance I've had to look at that video clip,
My
and
Lord.
I was in hysterics. For those who haven't seen it, it involves a depressed young man and an inflatable doll.
Yes, a lovely young actress. We picked her up. She came really cheap.
I'm sure she did. So what's the idea behind it? Come on, who came up with that idea for the film clip?
Well, we were sitting around thinking of ideas. Well, what can we do for this song? We don't do the same old kind of a thing. And there were all kinds of ideas floating around, some really wacky, and that was the least wacky, so we went with that.
That was the least wacky. Well, I can't wait to see your next film clip then.
Well, we could get carried away. Yeah, gotta watch myself.
Oh, look, I'm a big fan of that. Do something different. The one thing I can't stand, and no offence to anyone who does it, but I just can't stand a film clip where you got a great opportunity and a band standing out in a paddock playing instruments that clearly aren't plugged in, and there's no power, there's no generator running, and they're there and they're playing that.
Elvis did that years ago.
Yeah, but I mean, seriously. So I sit down and I watch an entertaining film clip that tells a bit of a story, and here's a guy who's got a broke down heart, and he's going to do something about it. He's got his inflatable friend, pumps her up and takes her out to dinner, gets her all dressed up nicely. I think it's fantastic. Yeah.
Well, that's the thing. I'm always trying to think of things that are different, and it's really difficult because everything has been done, but we just rack our brains and try to come up with something that might be fairly entertaining, and evidently that hit the mark because everybody seemed to like it. Well, I wasn't sure what the reaction would be, but yeah,
the reaction's quite clear, Doug. You've got your release Breakdown Heart. Shoots up the charts. Today we're sitting at number one. It's entered the CMC's top 40 as well for the video. Is it something that you expected to move that quick for this song?
No, this song has moved faster than any other release that I've had, and I wasn't really sure what to expect from that song. It's got a bit of edge to it, more so than some of the stuff that I've done in the past, and so I wasn't really sure about it, but it only took the initial response to win me over. I'm quite happy with it. I'm quite surprised and quite happily surprised.
Well, it's not a huge surprise that Doug Bruce sort of done that with the Breakdown Heart there. We were at Gympie and we watched the crowds there, and they'd hear that you were on, and they seemed to swarm around there and want to learn more and more and more. So I can understand why it probably has gone up so much. And I think you've picked up a lot more fans, particularly up here in Queensland, for Doug Bruce.
Well, I hope so. We have a lot of people asking us to come to Queensland, and it's just very difficult to make it work because we're down here in Mexico. But we certainly are trying to get up there, and definitely not because we don't want to come there. Just, if you want us to come up there, you're going to have to tell venues. You can tell us till you're blue in the face, but there's nothing we can do unless the venues will have us.
Right. So there you go, folks. You've got CMC rocking Southeast Queensland next year. It's not too late to get onto their little websites and start saying, right, this is who we want to see. So that's what you've got to do, folks. You want to see the guys up here? It's easy to do.
Have you got a scoop for us, Doug? Are you going to be doing CMC Rocks Queensland in March next year?
Oh, I would hope so. we'll have to wait and see, I guess.
That's right. Well, there you go. The folks have got to get on that website.
Now, speaking of Gympie, just quickly, you had a very interesting time getting to Gympie. A few problems with flights. It nearly didn't happen.
Oh, yeah, that was a nightmare. We weren't sure we were going to make it. We're all sitting at the airport. We had a 7:00 flight. We're on our way down, and we all get a text at the same time saying that our flight's been canceled. So we were in separate cars, of course, and some of the guys had already rang, and I'm driving, so I wasn't ringing, and got to the airport, and we rang, and they got on the 9:00 flight. We missed, or they got on the 8:00 flight. We missed that one. They put us on the 9:00. We're like, nah, we're going to be late. There's no way. So they canceled the 8:00, and so the other guys were just in limbo for like an hour trying to figure out what they were going to do. But we ended up going, some of us went to Brisbane, some of us went to Maroochydore, and we hired 2 cars, and we converged on Gympie, drove right up to the back of the stage, ran on stage, and how you doing? Whew.
We're here. Well, congratulations. The shows at Gympie were absolutely fantastic. So big congratulations to you and all the guys who managed to I suppose, fight off those airlines and get here.
Yes. Well, we weren't too happy at the time, but it all worked out, and we got an earlier flight coming home, so everything was fantastic.
Well, that's the message, folks. If you want to see more of Doug Bruce and the Tailgaters, you need to talk to the venues around the place. Get on to CMC, find out when if they're going to be booked in for that visit here next year. We've got Urban Country, we've got Broadbeach. There's plenty of opportunities to see him, so make sure you get on there and support this album. It's doing great stuff, and this is the #1 single. It is Broke Down Heart and Doug Bruce. Look forward to catching up with you again soon.
Absolutely. I hope so, somewhere very soon.
Here it is, the #1 single for this week.